Welcome to the last episode of Season 2 Floating Nifty Podcast.
Yay.
Yay!
Or not yay, or sad. It's sad.
Oh, so sad.
I have a microphone now.
Yeah,
Again.
and welcome Noah
I'm happy.
to join the last episode of this season. And today we are just gonna relax, chill, and drink two very epic teas.
All right.
And hopefully the epic teas show up. And at the same time, maybe we can talk a little bit an episode that I promised you, John. A little bit puer inside.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, here you go. But we'll start with the oolong.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay, cool.
And even though it's supposed to be a relaxing episode, I actually choose two teas that I personally consider it to be very difficult to be brewed.
All right, let's see if it works then.
In the oolong category, I think Tieguanyin varietal is very hard to brew. And puer is just very hard to brew for me. Yeah, I find it very challenging. So
Me
I
too.
think that would be really good to do this. So we'll start with the oolong tea. Both of the tea are from Yunnan, actually.
Great.
So I pick a Tieguanyin that is actually grown in Yunnan Oolong mountain.
Ooh.
Yeah. Big fan of this tea.
I wonder if I've had this before.
Probably. And this is also a tea that it was in our early on recordings. It's a tea that slapped my face a couple of times. That one. Very harsh teacher. Right, Noah?
Yeah, those are the good old days. That was a long time ago. Two
I
years
think I
ago?
remember those
Yeah.
Old
episodes.
episodes, yeah. He was brutal with us that day.
Many times, actually, a couple of times.
Yeah. But it was
Yeah.
recorded, and it's now in the annals of digital history. How badly we got beaten by a tea.
But excellent teacher, though. I
Yeah.
think we learn a lot. We grow a lot out of the tea session.
That's so interesting because I feel like every time we do an episode, the tea really has shown up like really well. That's part of why it's been so cool. It's just that the tea is like always there, you know?
Yeah.
We
so-
took a lot of beatings to get where we've got.
Yeah, well, I'm happy to reap the benefits.
Maybe smell the tea.
With pleasure.
Oh, wow. It's beautiful.
Beautiful scent,
Beautiful
right?
smell, yeah.
This farmer can really make beautiful scent on all of his teas.
Super yummy.
Looks like it's gonna be a silent session.
I'm just paying attention. I'm watching all the details.
You have very strong fingers, John.
That's
Thank
why
you.
I call him Strong Finger John.
That's how they.
Because you can hold this pot, I can't.
Oh, well, I probably should have held it like that because by the third steep, it was slipping down my.
Look at those
finger.
meaty fingers.
Oh.
Wow. Those are nice.
Oh my god.
Like sausages with muscle
Oh.
inside.
You sure you want to give him the microphone?
Yeah, I liked it better before when he didn't have the microphone. Yeah, I was feeling like
I know it's
it was
slippery,
slipping
yeah.
down, and so I was trying to like wipe my hand off to like get back on it, but it wasn't really helping.
It's a really heavy putt, and it's
Yeah.
It's also more on the slippery
Yeah.
side
Yeah.
since
yeah.
it's glazed.
So I probably should have done it that way, where you wrap the finger around.
But the other way is more, I guess, correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, that way is more correct. Okay, here you go.
All right, time for tea.
Time for tea. 无量山铁观音.
wow.
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 I hope my Chinese is sounds pretty good.
Mm. I love that smell.
Doesn't it smell pretty?
Yeah, it's beautiful. Hmm.
It's like an extremely expensive perfume.
Wow.
So
That's beautiful.
I don't even know how to describe it. It's like melting in the mouth.
Wow.
That's why I love oolong tea.
Whew.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was nice.
We're all in a place I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's the best session is you don't need to say it. So for those who are watching and listening, you just use your imagination.
Sorry you can't have any. I can feel this one coursing through me. Thank you. feel like I could smell the empty cup forever.
His tea, I just want to smell the empty cups forever. It just keep coming. And then it's changing and just keep giving you. And then kind of like lure you back, say, don't, not yet.
Mm. Okay. Oh, wow.
People see me as a strong, huh?
Yeah, this one's... Oh, yeah.
People see me as a oolong person. I focus on selling oolong since early on my tea journey. And people just, see floating leaf tea, see Shiuwen as like, she likes oolong tea. And I do. Because I was born and raised in Taiwan. And guess what Taiwan produced? Oolong tea.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like the connection was built since I was very young. And the more I learn about oolong tea, I remember when we were talking about, somebody was asking me about, tea, the interview and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And when Diana asked me when I fell in love with tea, and I suddenly, I think, didn't know what to answer. And I said, I fall in love with tea every day. Did I say that?
That's what you said, yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's the way I look at oolong tea, because oolong tea have a lot of, I'm not saying that other teas don't have efforts behind it. At least as far as I can tell, oolong tea probably is the tea that the process lasts the longest, right?
There's the most details in the processing, yeah. I mean, from the moment you pick the leaf off of the plant, there's a lot more going on before it turns into mao cha.
Yeah.
And when it's mao cha, it still requires roasting. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of details in the processing.
Yeah, and I just feel like oolong tea have so much history and history in what way? It's not like oolong tea was invented the earliest as a tea category. History means, for me, it's almost involve a lot of detailed thinking from the human, like people just try to figure out this tea and try to make it in different styles, different oxidation level, different roasting technique, etc., etc. There's so much efforts that have been done with human behind it. And maybe other teas also feels that way. When you build enough connection with a certain category of teas like black tea and green tea, maybe it's also that way. But since I was born and raised in Taiwan, that's the first tea that I got in touch with. And that's the tea that I spend most of my time with. I just have that love for the tea. I just see so much people's efforts behind it. And the more I see it, the more I love it. That's how I love my oolong tea. You okay?
Yeah, this is a powerful tea.
Powerful tea, right? Yeah. We'll do one more infusion.
I mean, one reason you could be talking about that is that this tea in particular, the cultivar has a long history, Tieguanin. It's also not an easy cultivar to grow. The fact that people grow it is a testament to how good it is. It takes a lot of care. Another reason you could be talking about that is that the farmer that makes this tea is actually really experimental in his technique of growing high mountain oolong tea to get property that high up and then make tea like this. Is this dark oxidized is totally against the market,
Right.
yeah, but it's really inventive, and he's found something in the land that's really beautiful and used his oolong processing to oxidize it really dark to call out incredible detail in the scent. And then our teacher uses charcoal to roast the tea.
This one?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is cool.
Yeah.
Each individual tea, this one in particular, has gone through so many stages to get to where it is right now. there's a lot to appreciate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a lot to grab on to watch. And just like the more you watch it, the more details you show up, and it's just like, wow, there's in fact so much beauty that you can see. Even just on the sand, you say you cannot stop. These teas always strike me that way since day one. I have other teas I enjoy smelling it, and it's like really beautiful. But his tea particularly is like, wow, I want to smell more.
Yeah.
And then just the fact that he oxidized his oolong to this stage, it takes a lot of skills if you know oolong tea, and it takes, lack of a better word, it takes a lot of balls to want to oxidize oolong this way. Because this is I don't know how to process oolong, but this is a stage that say is actually one of the hardest way to oxidize a oolong tea. Yeah. It's right, they call it like 30, 40-ish%. Yeah. Yeah. They say that stage is like you can easily kill a tea if you don't know how to oxidize it.
And oxidizing is that just like getting the air out, or is that when you leave it in the...
oxidation is one way to say it. Fermentation is one way to say it. Fermentation might be a more easy to understand word. Is how long do you let it sit before you finish the, before you stop the tea from changing?
I gotcha.
Yeah, from becoming more red, basically. So like black tea, you just let it sit there for a long time until it's really red. Green tea, don't let it sit at all. Most oolongs is like nowadays a lot of times like 12%, 15%. This is probably like 35%.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And to get it that dark without having off tastes, like overly fermented fruit kind of off tastes, weird fermentation kind of off tastes is really hard to do.
Cool.
It's a powerful tea, right? It's just like...
It really is.
Yeah. Beautiful in the scent, beautiful in the taste. You don't even need to watch. Like in the beginning of our session, we share the information of how to watch a tea. This one just like, yeah, you watch it, but you kind of just also sit there, and since you can watch it faster now, you don't need to like analyze as much. You just watch how it plays out and watch the beauty.
It's like listening to a symphony.
Yeah.
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 Oh, this tea is really cool.
Big tea,
so
right?
Cool. Yeah, it's amazing just like watching it. It's just all over.
All over. Yeah. And just enjoy the big picture of this tea. Just well-connected tea. Yeah, it's a well-connected big tea. And yet within that, if we watch it, it's just details in a lot of places.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah.
So since I do oolong tea I will need the other cup, for such a long time, people think that I don't like puer tea somehow. I sometimes I just really couldn't see that connection. Like why? Oh, it doesn't mean that I don't like other tea either. It's just I don't have time for what not that I don't have time. When I learn something, I like to learn. I like to learn it in a very deep way, even from the beginning. When people like come in to want to learn tea from me, and they want to taste so many different teas, my suggestion to people is always like, well, maybe pick a tea that you really like and go deep into it. And even like Oolong tea, I am only talking about that tiny small island that you can hardly see on the map called Taiwan. And I will have to spend so much time of my life to appreciate what the island could offer. And I'm looking forward to that province just across the water from Taiwan called Fujian province. That's where also a lot of wonderful oolong was born, and that's where it connects. There was a lot of connection between Taiwan and Chinese oolong tea processing, varietal, etc., history, blah, blah. It's actually heavily from Fujian province. And there are two big players in the oolong tea there. One is Tieguanyin and one is Cliff Tea. And I am so looking forward to build up my connection with the tea there. What I'm trying to say is that I consider tea learning is very focused on one tea first. And you will get a lot of experience, it's a lot of knowledge and a lot of appreciation, and then venture out to the next tea rather than, I don't even know how many teas are in the world, right? So many. And if you want to learn all of them, first I question myself, what is all of them? How much can you learn one tea? That's always my question to myself. Then if I want to learn 300 teas in the world, can I be good at them? I would rather be very good with one tea, And of course, I don't focus on just one tea. If I need to focus on one tea, I'll probably focus on Dongting, of course.
Yeah.
Of course, right? I focus on the island first, And then slowly, another door opened up for me, which is puer tea. And when I first got in touch with puer tea, my reaction was like, dude, why do people drink this thing? My God, it's awful. So I had a composted style show puer.
Oh, yeah.
It was awful.
It's a really low quality one.
Yeah, low quality puer. I took a sip.
Was it like a bubble tea?
Oh,
Like puer bubble tea?
Yeah.
Puer bubble tea.
Yeah. Girls use that to in Taiwan to
Lose weight.
lose weight.
So she tried it and it was just a really bad tea.
Yeah, and I was like, of course you can lose weight with this because it tastes so bad. That was my first impression of puer tea.
Yeah.
And then I didn't drink it for many years because why bother? There's like oolong tea to be drunk, much taste, much better and good flavor, etc., etc. And then I got into tea business back in 2005. And I focus on oolong tea, of course. But slowly, people send me samples. I was like, I think I should learn a little bit puer tea.
Yeah.
I think the next thing I want to learn is actually a little bit on the green tea brewing.
Oh, yeah. It's pretty different,
It's
right?
very different. So I just feel like I couldn't brew green tea well. So I spent a little bit time on brewing green tea. And I would say, since I mentioned before, I like to focus on one style of teas. I seriously majorly focus on oolong. And green tea, later I didn't focus as much, is because green tea doesn't fit with my body type. I feel, when I drink green tea, I feel like a lot of caffeine rushing into my body. So I couldn't drink too much, actually. And therefore, let's say I can drink 3 pots of oolong a day, then I spend time to brew 3 pots of oolong. But if I can only drink 2 sips of green tea, then I spend that little amount of time, by the way,
Right.
to study green tea. So slowly, I ended up not spending as much time in green tea. and puer tea slowly show up in my world, and I spent a little bit of time, and the same thing. I tasted it, and I was just like, I can't tell the difference of this so puer versus that so puer.
That was me too, yeah. When I
Yeah.
first got into puer, I was like, why is this one better than that one? Why is this one different than that
Yeah,
one?
yeah.
Yeah.
People would say like, oh, you gotta get this one. I would taste both of them. I was like, why? What's the difference?
Yeah, what's the difference? And I couldn't tell the difference for a while, and I kind of leave it alone. I didn't rush or push myself, and I focused on my oolong again. And I remember maybe that 1 year afterwards, I started to try puer again, and I was like, oh wow, this one is better. There is a difference of a better show puer versus a bad show puer, for example. But still, I didn't pay that much attention to it because, show puer tastes like show puer.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I was just like, I kind of leave it alone. And so oolong tea actually came to my attention much, much later in my tea journey. I started to get curious back in why is this whole talking about puer thing, and like Taiwanese people also really love puer tea. Like there's a huge puer presence in Taiwan, and I asked teachers, and they all say they love puer tea. I was like, what's going on? What's happening? And so I started to taste more. But when it was truly happening, so I would say between like 2010, 2013, I was more open to puer tea, and I would try, and I will use my own ways to evaluate what puer tea is good or bad. And I started to be open up to shen puer, and I realized I actually like shen puer more than shou puer at the time, And then in a tea session in 2017 in a Charcoal Roast Master's place, we tried some oolong tea
Puer tea.
first.
Oh, sorry.
and then he just said, it's time for puer tea. And we're like, oh, okay. It was very exciting, And we tried first puer tea, and I didn't know what to make out of it, and he knew somehow. And he just simply said, the tea is not speaking out to them today. And that's the only time he told the assistant, no need to brew that tea anymore.
Huh.
Only 2 brews, not finished. And it doesn't taste bad to me at all. It was actually quite good, but no connection. I'll call it that way. And then he just mentioned a name of a puer in his shop, and he told his assistant to get that puer and then brew that puer. And she started brewing it. I took a sip, and I felt something. Not physically, I felt something. There's a feeling, and the feeling was very familiar. And I was like, but I was not sure. I couldn't put it in words. So I said, oh, I will wait on the second infusion. And she brewed a second infusion, and that feeling still was there. I was like, what the heck is happening with this puer tea, And the teacher finally said, but since I was not saying anything, just like puer tea 1 and puer tea 2, both teas, I didn't say much. And so I was not sure how he knew I was feeling something. He normally know I was feeling something is because I'm very verbal. I truly express my opinion on a lot of things. So both puers, I think I have the same response. First one is I didn't have much connection, so I don't know what to say. Second one is like, what is that feeling? I'll wait until I have something to say, And he knew. And he said something, it just struck me. He said, isn't this tea interesting? And I said, oh, goodies. Something is going to happen. Something big and profound that he's going to say. It's gonna happen. And he just said, and it's the weirdest thing I have ever heard of somebody. He said, this tea is like do you know why I like this tea? He said, this tea, when I drink it, it's like an older sister to me. It's very kind to me. And I suddenly registered that feeling. I said, oh my goodness, is this even real? Because I was feeling it.
Yeah.
And I just didn't know what to say, you know? And he said it.
Wow.
Yeah. It's crazy,
It's
huh?
really cool.
It's really cool. And I think that door of puer tea opened that day for me. A good puer's presence feels different than oolong presence. And let's see if this next tea is gonna... Well, it's not that tea though. So
Yeah.
don't try to feel a sister,
all right.
okay?
I won't. I don't have a sister anyway, so I wouldn't be able to.
Me either, that's the thing.
That's amazing.
Because I'm the oldest girl in my family. I have 2 younger brothers. There's no older kind sister at all.
Yeah, I don't brew puer at all, so I always enjoy having it here because I just don't. I just feel like it's
Should I put
it's
it
too
on?
hard for me.
No, I chose it.
Chose what?
The amount.
We'll see how you did.
Or how I brew.
It's the right amount.
Right.
I chose the right amount. Is what I should have said.
Yeah, every time I remember when we did the episode where we were comparing the chahai to not, and not drinking that puer, I was just so like, I couldn't even talk. I was like, I couldn't contribute any thoughts on the chahai because the tea was just so like, I felt like I was not here almost. Like I felt like I wasn't even on a podcast or anything. I was just like somewhere else. And it happened that time where you and I drank with the music on. I felt like we were
somewhere.
and we didn't say anything, I don't think, during the whole during that whole session. We just kind of like took in the music and just like we were just like up higher than, at least it felt to me like we were somewhere higher up than like at the table. It was cool.
Yeah.
That was a good day.
Puer tea for me, it's I would say it's one of the teas that I have. If you have fear to brew tea, this will be a tea that I have a little bit fear still. Because when puer show up, the same puer tea show up this good and that bad, it's very clear.
I don't have
Yeah.
fear of puer for
Yeah.
that reason. I kind of have a fear for puer because it can be so overpowering, the experience.
Yeah.
But that fear is like exciting, you know? It's like a kind of anticipation.
Yeah.
I've had both of those. That's kind of why I have sort of decided like I just can't do puer yet, just like at home, because it's just like it is really overpowering, and also it's so like, or at least the ones I've had are just like, they're so like wild. It's like hard
Yeah,
for
it's
me
wild.
to it's hard for me to like keep myself composed enough
Yeah.
to like not be overpowered by it.
We'll see if you can keep yourself composed today.
I'm having a hard time already because the last tea was so powerful too. I'm just
Yeah.
like,
There's a little puer energy in that tea too. It's
There-
like
it felt like
Yunnan
it, yeah.
grown
It's a
tea.
Yunnan tea.
okay, that's
Yeah.
why.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
I'm as ready as I'll ever be.
Okay. Then we should try.
But if I take a sip and I just
That's
Let
okay.
it go.
like
Whatever
that,
you need
just
to do.
yeah, ignore me. Oh, the color is amazing.
How old is this tea?
I didn't look at the
Maybe 2012.
I think that's what it said on the bag.
Oh, you saw it?
Oh, cool.
Mhm.
Okay, cool. 2012, I believe.
So is that like is that young on the scale, or is that like middle?
How many years is
10
that?
years, yeah.
10 years?
10 years?
Yeah, but only like 7 years in Taiwan, so
Hmm.
not as aged as if it was there.
Oh, because it would age faster over there?
Faster, way faster in Taiwan. Yeah,
Mm.
here the tea doesn't change as much. Ooh, totally different smell today.
Oh. Wow.
We're gonna chase the heat. Ooh. Wow. This is a very feminine puer tea, and yet there's so much energy behind it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So sometimes when a puer tea is masculine, you can see how actually powerful, like just like you say, overpower kind of a phenomenon or situation will happen. Yeah.
Yeah, this one definitely does not feel like overpowering, but it's definitely powerful.
Powerful, right? In
Yeah.
a very different way. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, when I have a sip of this tea for the first time, I was like, wow, beautiful. Can I get some?
Yeah.
Do you know what puer tea is? It's like sometimes so powerful to me. Remember the structure that I tried to teach you on the sand? And when you really focus on it, you are like, what structure? What structure? It's actually really hard to detect an exact structure because puer tea for me doesn't have that specific smell, scent. There's like a puer tea smell, and yet it's not as strong as oolong tea. And so therefore, it's like, what is the structure of this scent? I can hardly grasp it. And yet at the same time, when you sit with it, it's like, oh my God, it's everywhere in my head. Right?
Yeah.
It's like you
Yeah.
cannot see that shape, and yet it's like everywhere in the head.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. And almost the same with the broth. You know, like oolong tea broth, you can like, oh, there's that shape, there's this side, that way. And then when you taste this, like, oh, it tastes like puer tea. You know? And then it's that there's that clear shape of puer tea liquid in the mouth. Almost not as clear as oolong tea. And yet the moment it hits the mouth and you swallow it, it's like, we become silent. It's like, oh my goodness. The way it flows, it like like the speed that it goes into your body, you cannot trace it. With a more powerful puer, it's like, I think it's everywhere.
It's just already there. It's already everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is amazing. That's what happened to me the last time we brewed also, or you brewed the puer. It was just like, it was all over, like, already. By the time I even started to look at certain spots.
Yeah.
Just like, it's already there.
Yeah. And oolong tea almost give you a space to look at it, which I consider it's good. Because we need that space to make the observation and to become fast and sharp enough and sensitive enough to make observation. And a good puer tea almost doesn't allow you that space at all.
I mean, Oolong grew up with people for such a long time.
Yeah.
Ever since its inception. I mean, it was the first time that Oolong was ever made. It was made by, a person. Someone took the plants, brought them over, and decided to start like, oh, this one is good for making this way, and then they started developing the technique. It has so much human inside of it. It thinks a little bit more like a human. Puer doesn't need to think like a human.
His nature.
We get a chance to have a window into the way the plant thinks.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And so for those of you and us who are into puer tea, congratulations. I think it's an excellent tea category. I will only, in my minimum knowledge with puer tea, still make you a small suggestion for those people out there, and for you, John, too, and for myself, is since it's the plant and the earth that we are tasting, I encourage people to learn puer with their route rather than want to drink puer to get that maximum high from a tea category. Puer tea is overall powerful, but once again, let's say the tea plant is not old enough to do that, for me, that power is actually really uncomfortable. And do you know what it remind me of? If I have to put puer tea also into a human body, it remind me of like a crazy teenager.
Yeah.
It's super lots of energy and sometimes very disturbing.
Yeah. That's the experience that I've had with puer at home before. Is just like, it feels exactly like that, where it's like, and I was surprised too, because that was my association with it for so long, that I remember when you brewed it for me once, it was like, it was like 7 p.m. or 8 p.m. and I was like, we're doing puer right now. Okay, I guess I'm going to be bouncing off the walls all night. But I actually was totally fine. Went home and I felt totally like normal and kind of like in balance. And I thought that was just amazing compared to the previous experiences I'd had at home, where it made me feel like I needed to like jump on a trampoline or something.
Yeah. So my experience with like strong teas, I'm making a quotation mark, and strong caffeinated teas, that my body will feel like actually anxious, and I can be drinking the tea at 5 p.m. and then I knew that I couldn't sleep, and yet it gave me a feeling of like anxiety and doesn't feel good, kind of like not be able to sleep. And then I started to drink better teas and powerful teas. I mean, today we hit some 2 teas that you just like open your eyes, go, wow, that's big tea, right? And now what time is it? Like 7 p.m. maybe? And you might feel like, oh shoot, can I sleep? But I believe when you work with that energy, because there's such a center in that big power, you can lay on the bed and you are kind of like, I'm not sure if I can sleep. And yet there's that wonderful feeling of you was able to work with the energy, like still observe it, and it doesn't let you go like, I don't know, I don't feel good. oh, I can't sleep. Oh, I don't feel good. You know, like that kind of more like really irritating energy.
Yeah.
This kind of energy I actually get to actually lay there, and even if I cannot sleep, I get to watch it play out. Yeah, and then eventually I fall asleep.
I remember I was still feeling it like in the morning.
Yeah.
The day after.
That's
We
pretty
drank
good,
that
right?
tea.
Yeah. Yeah. I do enjoy a good energy tea, and it can be soft, it can be strong, and that even soft within softness, there is a huge power behind it, but it doesn't strike you like a punch at the face, because that's not nice.
Yeah, that would
I'm not sure how much a person like to be punched in the stomach, in
Not
the
me.
chest, or in
Not
the
me.
face. It's an energy that is big and yet
But
it's
loving.
right.
Eh?
It's like
oh,
a big
thank you.
embrace.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No matter what, it has to be loving, even if it is like being punched in the face. Because
A
there
loving
is,
punch.
there are
Let me
there are
practice
teas
that.
that are really martial, you know.
And yet you feel like you can deal with it.
Yeah, it's like if you've ever studied martial arts, it's like when you're working with a highly trained teacher that when he beats you up, it feels kind of good. Because you're kind of like
You
learning
know, it's
something
great.
from it, or
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
like there's something really beautiful about the body mechanics and what he can do. But no matter what, if it's hard like that or soft, it has to be loving.
Right.
Mm.
I believe that. Yeah, that makes sense. This tea is like getting beat up. That's what we're saying.
This tea is not like getting beat up, though.
No, this is a feminine puer.
Yeah, this one does feel like a very soft,
Yeah.
powerful embrace.
But the embrace is so just not like just somebody softly embrace you. It's like it's just long lasting. Just keep hugging you and then keep hugging you and
It's
keep
like
hugging you.
it's like looking out over the water and realizing like how big the earth is. That's what this tea was like drinking to me. One of the first times I drank this tea, I went to sleep and had a dream of like looking out over the water in all directions. I was on the beach, and it's nighttime, and you're just like the earth is so big and it loves me. That's the kind of feeling I had.
Aw, that's
Yeah, I can
beautiful.
feel that. I can feel that
That
expanse.
big
The like
expanse, right?
expansiveness of it.
So we're about to hit an hour, and the camera is overheating.
Oh, okay.
This camera in the back that's filming you.
Okay.
I have a suggestion
Yes.
that we wrap up and then we keep drinking this tea. Maybe.
Sounds good.
Sounds
Does
good.
that sound good to you guys?
Yes.
Yeah.
Just I think this is also a maybe to listeners it's really hard to feel what we are feeling, but this is one of the best sessions that I think we have done is to capture a feeling of the tea with the people and in the room. Yeah, this is tea session to me. Yeah, a beautiful tea session. And so we're gonna wrap it up. End of season 2. Thank you, John.
Thanks for having me. It's
Come
been
back again.
So great.
And the next season, it's gonna be me and Noah, because Noah will be in Taiwan, and so there will be no images, just the sound.
Original Floating Leaves Tea podcast.
Podcast, and then we hope to focus on the learning
Yeah,
of his
that's great.
tea learning journey in Taiwan.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, and maybe after that we can have you back again.
Sure, anytime. Say the
sounds
word and I'll
good.
be here.
Thank you so much.
Cool.
And so we'll say goodbye here. Everybody, happy tea learning, drinking, and exploring. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Happy sipping.
Happy sipping. Yeah.